My name is Marcus Bennett. If you had told me that a simple monthly neighborhood meeting would shatter my daughter's spine and redefine the boundaries of justice and forgiveness in my life, I wouldn't have believed you. But that's exactly what happened on a rainy Thursday evening in the community hall of Willow Creek Estates, a neighborhood known more for potluck dinners than for tragedy. It began like any other HOA meeting late. Always late when Meredith Calloway was in charge. People called her Karen behind her back, not just because of her angular blonde bob or her tone-deaf complaint about grass length, but because she wielded her little slice of power like a blade. My 5-year-old daughter, Eliza, and I arrived 10 minutes after it started, not out of disregard for punctuality, but because she had just finished physical therapy. Eliza has osteogenesis imperfecta, brittle bone disease. Her bones fracture with the gentlest bump. I had explained this to the board when we moved in. We got official approval for her wheelchair ramp, had her chair specially designed. Still, Meredith looked up from her papers and frowned when we entered. "The meeting has already started," she said, barely glancing our way. "We just came from therapy," I replied calmly, trying to guide Eliza's wheelchair to the accessible section. She rolled her eyes. "Not my problem." A few people shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Under pressure, Meredith jabbed a manicured finger toward a space by the wall. "Park over there and be quiet." I offered a curt nod and rolled Eliza into the spot. She smiled sweetly at the others. Even at her age and after 37 fractures, she carried herself with grace I didn't think possible. "Daddy, I'm thirsty," she whispered. I reached in her backpack and realized the water bottle wasn't there. "Stay right here, princess." "1 minute," I said, pressing her hand. I whispered to a kind neighbor, Mrs. Lopez, asking her to keep an eye on Eliza for just a minute. She smiled and nodded. I hurried to the parking lot. Less than 2 minutes later, I was back with the water bottle in hand, and I heard a scream that haunts me even now. "Eliza." I dropped everything and sprinted inside. People were crowded in a circle. As they parted, I saw her face down on the floor, her wheelchair tipped over, and Meredith Calloway, this woman who never once thought beyond her own convenience, was sitting on my daughter's back, leaning across the table to grab a packet of papers. "Eliza," I shouted. Meredith didn't even look startled. "She was in the way," she said. I told her to move her chair. I shoved her aside. That's when I heard it. The soft, sickening sound of a bone giving way. Crack. The room went quiet. Eliza had stopped screaming. "Call 911. I roared. "She has brittle bone disease. Don't move her." Mrs. Lopez was already on the phone. I dropped beside Eliza. Her eyes, wide with pain, met mine. "Daddy, I can't feel my legs," she whispered. My heart broke in ways I didn't know it could. "I barely touched her," Meredith muttered, brushing off her pants. "She's just being dramatic." I ignored her. All I could focus on was keeping Eliza conscious until the ambulance arrived. When the EMTs came, one of them recognized me. "Deputy Commissioner Bennett, is this your daughter?" I nodded, voice caught in my throat. The hospital confirmed our worst fears. Eliza had fractured her T4 vertebra. She needed immediate surgery, months of rehab, and even then, doctors weren't sure she'd walk again. I stepped out and called my boss. "Commissioner Hart," I said, "this is Marcus. I need to take emergency leave." She asked no questions. "Use every tool we have," she said. "Everyone." I knew what that meant. As Deputy Commissioner of Health and Human Services for the county, I oversaw ADA enforcement, disability protections, and civil rights compliance. I also knew the law inside out. 3 days later, Meredith barged into the hospital room. "This is insane," she said, holding up a letter. "They've suspended me from the HOA, and I might face charges now." I stood up from Eliza's bedside. "Lower your voice." She hesitated. "It was an accident." "No, Mrs. Calloway. An accident is something you couldn't foresee. You were warned. You ignored it. And now my daughter might never walk again. But this could ruin me. You didn't think about that when you sat on a disabled child to reach your paperwork." I filed a formal complaint that day. My friend and former law school roommate, now the district attorney, took the case personally. In less than a week, Meredith faced criminal charges for assault on a vulnerable individual, and the civil suit followed. The HOA was named for failing to act on prior complaints about Meredith's mistreatment of disabled residents. Security footage didn't lie. It showed everything. Meredith pushing past Eliza, the chair tipping, her sitting on my daughter's back. The courtroom was packed. Several jurors cried as the footage played. Meredith's attorney tried to spin her as a pillar of the community, but testimony contradicted every lie. Neighbors shared stories. Emails surfaced, and I sat every day watching justice take shape. She was convicted on all counts. 5 years of probation, 2,000 hours of community service with disabled children. And in civil court, the jury awarded Eliza $2.5 million. Meredith had to sell her house. But that wasn't the end. At a final emergency HOA meeting, the vice president stood at the podium. We will now vote to remove Meredith Calloway from the board. Before the vote, Meredith stood. I was wrong, she said. I hurt a child. I hurt this community, and I want to do something about it. She presented a comprehensive accessibility plan, improved ramps, simplified accommodation requests, and a disability advisory committee. Later that day, she approached me outside. Commissioner Bennett, she said, your daughter's courage changed me. Could you look over the plan? I took it. I'll review it. 6 months passed. Eliza returned to school in a new wheelchair, larger, sturdier. She could stand for short periods. Doctors said she might walk again someday. That afternoon, she spotted Meredith helping a young boy in a chair down a new ramp. She's not so mean anymore, Eliza said. Want to say hi? Not today, Daddy. Maybe next time. Eventually, Meredith came to our door with a book for Eliza. May I come in? Eliza beamed. Hi, Miss Meredith. Want to see my new brace? Meredith knelt beside her. It's beautiful. And in that moment, the woman who once shattered my daughter's spine was helping her heal. Not out of guilt, but out of growth. Justice doesn't always wear a robe. Sometimes it wears humility. I could have destroyed her. But Elizabeth's brave, brilliant daughter chose compassion. She taught me there's strength in choosing mercy, not because the guilty deserve it, but because the innocent do. And that's how Willow Creek changed. Because one little girl's spine broke and grew back stronger. Just like our community. Just like our hearts.